Nobody really wants to be a musician anymore. I feel like the word musician has become a loose term, but for the point of this video, let's define it as someone who has proficiency in their respective instrument and can execute the ideas that have been given to them or are in their own head. Yes, the voice counts as an instrument. Becoming a musician requires countless hours of disciplined practice in order to become half decent. As our generation's appetite for short-form content increases, so does the idea of instant gratification. And the idea of delayed gratification is pushed to the wayside. This leads to lack of discipline. People don't want to sit down for hours and practice their instrument. Be frustrated. It's really the process of becoming really good at music is that middle period where you kind of suck. But people aren't willing to do that anymore because, well, that's just where our generation's at, where our culture's at. If it's not something that gives you fun or gives you joy right away, there's no real point in doing it. You can just go watch YouTube shorts or reels. It also doesn't help that this is the toughest financial situation that we have been in a while. With World War III happening, a lot of people don't have it in them to try and become a musician. And I don't blame them. There's no point anymore because nobody knows the difference between someone who is okay and amazing. This is something I realized as a musician who has been working professionally, I guess, for a few years now. The general public doesn't know or care how good the music is. It kind of just has to reach a certain threshold. And if it meets that threshold, then everything's good. Anything above that threshold doesn't matter to them. And at the end of the day, the general public is who us musicians are playing for. We aren't playing for other musicians because that circle is really small and we can't just keep paying each other, right? Marketing and visuals have also become uber important in the music scene. As a musician, you have to be able to market yourself, and it's become so important that it's superseded the music itself. Popular music right now is also just moving towards being simpler chord progressions that are easy to digest. That's kind of the wave that we've been pushing for a while. And newsflash, if you're a musician who can play all these sick chords, it doesn't matter because the music that's popular right now, that people are playing right now the most, is easy. Which means what? You don't have to be proficient. You just have to be good enough. Music that is harder to play is not as popular. This all kind of leads to not needing to have excellent musicians because that's not what the scene calls for right now. Music that is hard to play is also just not as popular as simpler music. As I said before, we as a society are moving towards just wanting things to be easier to digest. And if harder music is not that popular, there's no need for excellent musicians who can play that harder music. This is the most obvious one, but people want to get paid, and being a great musician won't do that for you. Playing live music, playing gigs as a way to make a living is just not viable anymore. I don't know when the shift happened, but nowadays you can't make a living off playing gigs 5 days a week. Social media is also a great way to connect with people as a musician, but social media does not reward great music or musicians. It rewards following trends and frequency. All this leads to the death of traditional jazz. Traditional jazz, and also swing music / bebop, is dying because it requires so much from the person trying to learn the music in order to play it. Music that is not easy to consume and understand will just not survive in this current climate. Music that is not easy to consume and understand will just not survive in today's current cultural climate because people aren't willing to take the time to try and understand it or learn it. It has to make sense right away. It really makes me wonder if classical music will face similar side effects if our society keeps moving in this direction. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.